It's Film Frenzy, back with a new review, this time talking about First Man, starring Ryan Gosling, directed by Damien Chazelle, about Neil Armstrong, the first man ever on the moon. I just got back from seeing it through Hotchkiss, so I saw it early at this awesome theater, huge, beautiful screen. Now I'm going to get right into the review. First category, direction and visuals. Look, they gave me this awesome poster. Yep, this pretty much shows how amazing the direction and visuals are. Like, look at this beauty right here. The cinematography in this film is amazing. Damien Chazelle really works wonders with the camera, and I just love like the first scene. It really just brings you in with like all these awesome close-ups and these like broad shots and stuff. I love the shot variety. I think that's really awesome. I love like sometimes just pure darkness and just silence. Like usually this is just about like direction and visuals category, but I'm also gonna talk about sound a little bit. First off, the score is just beautiful. It's amazing. Damien Chazelle always has great music in his movies. This one doesn't have the original songs that the others do, but this just has just a beautiful score and some great musical moments also. But anyway, the visuals are just amazing. It really just gets you excited when the moon landing finally happens. I feel like they do stuff a lot of visuals in this movie, and that kind of reduces the story, but it doesn't mean the visuals category gets reduced. In fact, I'm giving visuals and direction a perfect 5 out of 5. This is truly the high point of this film. It is absolutely beautiful. He didn't just take the standard, let's just make a Darkest Hour style biopic film that's pretty just basic. He really just brought amazing shots to the film, and it made it just so beautiful and a great theater viewing experience. Acting and character development is my next topic of discussion. Unfortunately, this is where First Man starts to lose it, so don't expect any more 5 out of 5s from here on out. Acting and character development. This is a really key category because this is just how the audience is going to relate to the movie. Characters are the breach between the audience and the plot of the film, and sadly, it's pretty weak here, not gonna lie. So, they assemble an awesome cast. Claire Foy, Jason Clarke, obviously Ryan Gosling, Kyle Chandler, just to name a few. There's a lot more that I'm not going to name, but there's a great cast, and I feel like they're really underutilized. Basically, it's just like Ryan Gosling, it just really doesn't have much emotion. Maybe it's accurate how Neil Armstrong is, but if that's the case, maybe just don't make the movie, because you should have a really interesting and likable lead character, unless you're trying to show like a purposely unlikable lead character, but I don't think that's the case. I think they're trying to show a character that's like having trouble dealing with the feelings of a big tragedy in his life that's revealed in like the first 10 minutes of the movie. I'm not going to go into that, but I think it's really poor because he never develops throughout the movie. There's not a single character that has development during the movie. I think that's a huge problem right there. That's like half my category right here, slashed in half. Okay, anyway, then you got Claire Foy, his wife. So she is a great actress, and she like has a bunch of yelling scenes, but I feel like most of the time she's just kind of like that angry wife. They're trying to create like a powerful female character, and I think that's great, but that doesn't mean you have to make her dislikable. Like, I feel like they just didn't really get the romantic, like just the relationship dynamic really well. They didn't get that, and that's bad. There was really little chemistry, and that's really just emphasized in the final scene of the film. I'm not going to spoil, but if you watch this movie, you'll know the final scene. It's kind of rough. I'm not a fan of it at all. Besides that, some of the side characters are decent. Nothing special or anything. Honestly, I expect the main two characters to get nominations, even though I don't think they deserve them whatsoever. Then the kids, it's kind of weird because they treat them in like this like weird way where they depict them as being like really strange and just kind of like messed up. Like they're always misbehaving, and then at the end they just become kind of just more like regular and like good kids. I don't even know. The portrayal of Neil Armstrong's kids is all over the place and just very strange. Kind of a little off-putting. So add that all together. Great cast. Some good acting moments, although very underutilized. No character development. Some strange characters. I'm giving this category a 3 out of 5. Finally, I've got my favorite category. Plot, pacing, script, and theme, which combine for the story elements. Story is my favorite element because I think the ultimate goal of a film is to tell an emotionally resonating story that changes the audience after their theater going or watching it at home experience. And this movie doesn't do that too well. Yes, it has the great visual aspect. Film is a visual art, but it doesn't really have the story aspects that well. So let's break it down from the 4 different aspects. We're going to start with the plot. Okay, so it felt very disjointed. It's not a cohesive movie whatsoever. Like, there's a lot of time gaps. This occupies, I think, 61 to 69 in terms of the years. And when there was like a 2-year time jump or whatever, it felt kind of just like all of a sudden. This kind of leads into pacing a little bit, but it just kind of felt like it wasn't very smooth and just laid out well. Like, it was just a bunch of events from his life and relating to leading up to like the Apollo 11 launch and whatever. And it kind of felt like a Wikipedia article, except slightly less cohesive. And that's a big, big problem. The plot has to come together. Like, for example, the tragedy I mentioned at the beginning of the film, that's not really even referenced much, or really, like, except for, like, maybe a couple scenes, and then only at the really end is it actually, like, plays a key role in, like, the plot or whatever. And I think that's a big, big problem right there. There's a lot of other major scenes. There's a lot of tragedy in this movie. It's a little overly sad, I think, for what the film is trying to accomplish, which I'm not actually really sure what's trying to accomplish, but I felt like lots of the scenes are never really addressed again. I hate movies that lack cohesion. I mean, the movies up here, these are some movies I love, and they have a lot of cohesion. Yeah, scratch this one. This is not a good movie. Batman v Superman. I don't love that movie. I never said that. Okay. Anyway, now we got that out of the way. Pacing. Like I mentioned before, very disjointed. The editing is a little strange sometimes. I feel like it never really flows well. Again, this movie, I think this suffers from a rough ending. I said before the last scene's bad, but any movie that you think it's going to end like 30 minutes before, and then you think it's going to end 20 minutes before, that's not good. That means their pacing is really, really cruddy. Because this movie, I thought it was going to end right like before they get to like the lunar landing. And I was going to be like, oh, come on, you got to show like the coolest scene. Luckily, they did, but I thought it was going to end early, and if you think that, like, that's not good. Like, you shouldn't have a false sense of, like, termination in the audience. Like, that means you're doing something wrong. And that's a big problem with pacing. Another thing is that it was 2 hours and 10 minutes. What I like to do before I see a movie in theaters is, like, I don't want to know how long it is. I just kind of guess based on how long it felt. My bad, I misspoke. It's actually 2 hours and 20 minutes. Anyway, I thought felt about 2 hours 45. That's really, really bad right there. This was very boring. I repeatedly found myself drifting off topic and being like, oh, I gotta get back into it. There's a lot of dark scenes and like literally visually dark, like black skies, and they're nice and all, but there's just too much of that. And the movie just overall very boring because there's not a lot of emotional resonation during most of the movie. There's some great scenes, but I feel like just a lot of blandness and just overly like artistifying stuff. Like, yes, that leads to a 5 out of 5 in direction of visuals, but that leads to a score drop right here. And I don't get bored easily, so that's not a good thing that I got bored during this movie. Now we're going to script. This movie, it's fine, the script, I guess. It's weird because it's not written by Damien Chazelle. This is his first movie, I believe, that he did not write the script for. And I think it shows because I feel like there's just kind of like this like schism between script and like the direction and stuff, because it was just very bland, the script. There were some great lines. There was a couple tries at comedy, and they were decently funny, but they just didn't fit at all. It was like Batman v Superman. There was really a lack of jokes, and that's kind of weird. I did not like that at all. If you're not going to have much jokes, don't have any jokes at all, because it just felt awkward when there was one. And then finally, theme. So I thought they were setting up a great one in terms of like perception and stuff at the beginning of the movie, or maybe stuff with like moving on, like with the tragedy I mentioned earlier. But they don't really get back to that. Kind of a little bit of the lack of cohesion I was talking about. So there's no real semblance of a true theme. And for me, that's always the most important part of the film. Story elements are the most important part, and theme is the most important part of that. So if a movie doesn't really have a theme, there's only so high a score I can give it. For this category, I'll be giving First Man a 2.5 out of 5. Very mediocre, and that's really made me sad because I thought this movie was going to be awesome. I've really liked Damien Chazelle's previous work. Whiplash is one of my favorite movies of the decade. This doesn't even compare to it. And that leads to my final score. So, a low story elements category, some amazing direction and visuals, some underutilization of a great cast, and some poorly developed characters. This leads to a 3 out of 5. That is still a thumbs up for my overall score. So, yes, this review was largely negative, but luckily, the direction was so beautiful. This is one of the best directed movies I've seen, that it still allowed the movie to get above a 2.5. So, that ends my review. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. I hope you enjoy it. Go out and see it. If you're going to see it and you really enjoy space travel and want to see shots like that, I highly recommend it in theaters because it is beautiful, especially on a large screen. But if you're not into that, just go watch Venom. You can check out my review on my channel. I think that's a really underappreciated superhero movie. Really defied my expectations. I thought it was going to be kind of bad. Ended up being really great. So maybe go watch that instead. Thank you for watching. It's Film Frenzy, signing out. Bye.